Aloha, beloveds. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm here in Hilo, Hawaii, at the base of a beautiful banyan tree that marks and symbolizes a sacred temple site for the Hawaiian people. And yeah, today's a very rainy day, rainy, wet day. We have flash floods happening. We're supposed to get a foot of rain today in 24 hours, which is a lot of rain. And I'd like to speak to the energies of the new moon have been bringing up a lot for me around my womb and around women and the collective womb. And I'd like to share some downloads and transmissions I've been receiving in those ways through my womb space, and just feeling really tender and protective right now, and wanting to speak to the collective feminine pain body and how we can transmute that trauma and suffering into pure light and love and awareness to help all beings who may be suffering at this time. And this is in relation to healing the separation between the masculine and the feminine in general, in the world, in the collective. And I want to speak to how important it is for women to address their womb trauma, not just on a personal level, because we're never actually separate from one another as womb carriers, but on a collective womb level. And this means actually going into the pain and the feelings and really feeling them, allowing oneself to feel them. And I feel that those containers and those spaces for doing that deep dive work aren't readily available in our society, unfortunately. They used to be. Women used to meet regularly when they're bleeding and stop doing all work for the most part and just listen, and listen to their bodies and listen to the wombs and listen to each other. And those circles were created, and it was very natural and fluid and culturally acceptable. And now it's not. We're isolated and separated. And so we have to make a strong push, sisters, to gather together, to speak to one another, to listen to one another, and hold each other accountable for our own individual healing, as we each have our own part in the collective healing. And I feel when women really start addressing that on their own and not playing into victimhood mentality, but taking ownership of what they've experienced and not being afraid to look at it, not being afraid to feel the feelings associated with those experiences, and find solutions for coming back into harmony, coming back into balance, coming back into a heart-centered place of love and care and concern for all beings, and not making anyone the perpetrator, but just noticing and witnessing from that place of total acceptance and total grace. And I feel that once women really start working on these things and really start taking the time and slowing down enough to do that for themselves on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, around holidays, around holy days, around the moon cycle. The new moon is a very potent time for women to gather, I feel like. So on this upcoming new moon on February 19th, I encourage you women to gather together and share stories and listen to each other and hold each other in compassionate grace, and notice what comes up for yourself, and love it unconditionally, and give it back to the mother, give it back to Mama Earth, so she can help you release and transmute and transform that energy into nourishment for what's coming, for what's blooming, for what's blossoming, for what's growing, for what's ready to be born, And when women do that, they allow the men to be to heal as well, because so many of us women, we've been holding men in a space of judging and victimhood, and holding men as perpetrators. And the more we do that, the longer we do that, the longer this will continue, And so we need to release those judgments, and we need to release that anger and give it back to the mother and let her do what's best for it, and allow the men to be viewed as worthy and loving beings, and as leaders in our community and as protectors. And just encourage women to dialogue about this more, and to create those containers of deep listening. And it really just comes down to presence, sisters. So I encourage you to meditate, to practice being present with yourself, and then start to open up yourself to receiving other women and listening to them, really listening to them, not offering advice or trying to fix or judge. Just listen and allow the energy to move. It's important. And I'm happy to guide women in that. If you have any questions or advice, or you would like a consultation around how to hold a women's circle and how to support sisters at this time, and thus support all of us, I pray that you'll reach out to me. I'll leave my email, my Facebook contact information here in the description. And please feel free to reach out to me. I live here on the big island of Hawaii now, and I'll be starting to hold those circles again here soon as Spirit calls. And just encourage women to get back to their feminine voice, their feminine ability to communicate with themselves, with each other, with men, and be softer and more allowing, and just soften. We don't need to be so defensive. That defensive energy creates an imbalance, and the more we can soften into our trusting ourselves, into trusting others, the more healing is allowed to happen. So I just love to speak to that you are trustworthy, and you can trust yourself, and you can listen, you can tune in, and you can really be open to receive the messages from Great Goddess Mother and hear what she has to say to you at this time for yourself, for your path. And I know that especially during moon time, when women are bleeding, there's a lot of transmissions that come through, specifically from ancestors and from the collective womb. And I encourage you to slow down when you're bleeding, and really take that time to meditate and to listen and to tune in and see what Spirit has to share with you, and utilize that and journal, and pay attention to your dreams, especially during these potent moon days, the new moon and the full moon. Please listen to your dreams. Your dreams have so much information for you that you can gather from, because our subconscious hides those messages from us during the day, during our waking life. But when we're dreaming and sleeping, images and stories and signposts can come up to show the way from our dream time. So if you're interested in dream work, in dream symbolism, and the meanings of what dreams may be showing you at this time, please reach out to me as well. I'd love to do some dream work with you and help you in that regard. And thank you so much for tuning in. May you feel really, really blessed this beautiful new moon that's coming up here. And if you have sisters in your life that are needing support, take the time to support them. It's really important we support the women, and build that energy so we can support the brothers, and so the brothers can feel good about themselves, and they can start to transmute and transform, and feel trustworthy, and really appreciate the women who are doing the work right now, taking accountability and really looking at their shadows, and taking the time to slow down and listen to their wombs. Thank you so much, sisters, for doing that work, and I really appreciate you. Bless you, bless your lives, and may this message find you well in every way. Aho. Mahalo for tuning in.